On New Year's Eve, my boyfriend, Julian, didn't spend the night with me. He said he was swamped with work. Instead, paparazzi caught him on a fireworks cruise, fingers laced with Bella, the industry's newest darling. When I called, all he said was, "It's just PR, don't be dramatic." I couldn't tell if he was lying, and I couldn't pretend it didn't matter. Suddenly I missed the Julian I'd met at 17, broke, but overflowing with love. Yet nobody stays 17 forever. At 25, Julian has more money than a bank, yet I can't feel a single drop of love. In the past, every time another PR scandal surfaced, we screamed ourselves hoarse. But tonight the fight drained out of me. I refuse to spend my life trapped in pointless arguments. It's time to say goodbye to the boy I knew at 17. The stroke of midnight is meant for fresh beginnings. On the first morning of the new year, I packed my bags and broke up with him. Julian walked in while I was still stuffing clothes into my suitcase. 8 years together, 2 living under the same roof, this apartment is crammed with things I bought: the TV, the bed, even the tiny desk fan and the curtains. I couldn't take it all. I spent the entire night sorting, a 12-hour fresh start purge. This bed is too big for one, leave it. Those curtains are dead weight, leave them. The 100+ dresses in the closet? My single suitcase can't breathe them in, leave every stitch. I'd arrived with 1 suitcase, I would leave with 1. The rest stays, the 8 years with Julian, the potted herbs on the terrace, all of it. When Julian pushed open the door and saw the chaos, his first thought was burglary. His thumb hovered over 911 until he spotted me on the floor beside my half-zipped suitcase. Julian had stayed up all night, afraid Bella might feel lonely, fireworks, a movie, laughter echoing till sunrise. He'd come home ready to crash, but the wreckage in front of him made his temples pound. He scowled, defaulting to accusation. What now? I told you, it's just publicity. Her boss Liang is my closest friend. Stop being unreasonable. I nodded, and for the first time I didn't yell back. Got it, I said quietly, then went on loading vitamins and half-used serums into a pouch, still so much to pack. Julian's frown cut deeper. If you get it, why turn the place upside down? Trying to punish me? I shook my head. New year, fresh start purge. Am I not allowed to tidy my own stuff? Guilt pinned his tongue. He kept telling himself, I didn't cheat, I'm only helping Bella dodge predators, yet he knew skipping our New Year's to babysit another woman was indefensible. Still, he was confident he could coax me back, the way he always had after every blow-up. This time we'd simply skipped the shouting. He pulled a velvet box from his pocket, classic Julian, slap followed by kiss. His hand hung between us. Your New Year gift. It was supposed to be last night. But the box looked grander than usual, almost ceremonial, and for a heartbeat I thought he was finally proposing. Should I say yes? For a second, for the sake of 8 years, I almost nodded, as if accepting could redeem all that time. My eyes burned, yet I didn't reach for the box. Julian read the tremble in my stare and cleared his throat. It's not a ring, just a custom timepiece. The words doused me like ice water, because last night, while he watched fireworks with Bella, someone had snapped him handing her a watch, this watch's twin. He bought 2? To be fair, I opened the box. The dial was exquisite, custom-made. I flipped it to the back. Engraved in tiny script were the initials CY, Bella's initials. I tossed the watch onto the coffee table and gave a cold laugh. If this is only PR, Sterling, you sure pour your heart into the props, only you delivered it to the wrong actress. I slammed the suitcase shut. In truth, there was nothing left to pack. I'd only wanted one last look, one excuse for him to explain, or for me to finally let go. I had my reason. Now I was leaving. I stepped toward the door. Julian blocked me, flustered, apologizing. My fault, I ordered too. I grabbed the wrong box. I'll get you the other one. And I just closed on a new estate in East Hampton. I'll deed it to you, okay? Apology by price tag, couture, jewelry, and now a mansion. Yet each richer gift only sank my heart. The grander the bribe, the guiltier he was. His feelings for Bella were deeper than publicity. You don't engrave another woman's initials on a midnight gift unless the line between show and reality has dissolved. In the past, love might have bullied me into swallowing it. But I don't need another estate. I never did. When we met, he was broke and I was an heiress, still am. I refuse guilt offerings disguised as generosity. I studied the rare sight of rattled Julian and asked, "Do you even remember why you started grinding in the first place?" These last few years have been too easy. He's forgotten the road that brought him here. Julian searched his memory and landed on a New Year promise he'd made at 17. "Serena, I'm broke now, but I'll love you forever. We'll spend every New Year's Eve together. I'll climb and climb until our worlds match, and then I'll ask you to marry me. We'll never be apart, okay?" The vow still rings, yet everything it spoke of has crumbled. His company is worth billions now, we're more than matched. Still, the proposal I waited years for never comes. Maybe he no longer wants to, maybe he's forgotten, maybe he's bored, whatever the reason, the moment keeps sliding. I'm 25. I crave a home of my own. He can wait, my clock can't. My parents' monthly "when's the wedding?" calls stay locked in my phone. I never burdened him. Hearing my question, Julian mistook it for a nudge toward marriage. He pulled me into his arms, soothing me with a patience he rarely shows. "Hang on. The IPO closes next month. I'll have oceans of time then. We'll file the papers, book the venue, all of it, okay? Marry me once the company hits 10 billion, marry me once we upgrade to the penthouse, marry me once the Hamptons estate is finished." Year after year, he's drawn bigger carrots to keep me chasing. Now he owns every carrot he dangled, and the finish line has simply shifted to after the IPO. Why not wait until I'm in a coffin? Love gone is simply gone, the difference is glaring. He can lie to himself, but not to me. Wrapped in his arms, I feel no warmth, only revulsion. I shoved him away with all my strength. In his startled eyes I said, "Since we're doing a fresh start purge, let's go all the way. The thing I most need to purge from this apartment is you. Objects get old, too heavy to carry, throw them out. A heart that has changed has no place in my life either. Julian, we're done. From now on, bridge returns to bridge, road returns to road. Toss whatever I left or give it away. Just don't ever contact me again." I watched him, caught off guard, stumbling from my push, sprawl across the pile of clutter on the floor. This time, without hesitation, I turned and walked out. On the very first morning of the new year, I finally made up my mind. It was time for a new life. I booked an 11 o'clock flight to Switzerland to go skiing. That meant leaving at a run, otherwise I'd miss the plane. I'd dreamed of this trip since I was 17. Back then Julian was scared I'd freeze or have no one to look after me if I traveled solo, so he begged me to wait until he had money and could come along. I agreed happily and waited year after year, 17 to 25, 8 full circles of seasons. At times I almost forgot the plan entirely. While packing last night, I unearthed a little tin box and inside found the bucket list journal I'd kept at 17. Scrawled at the top: 1. Marry Julian. 2. Visit Switzerland. 3. Have a baby. I'd accomplished none of them. Pathetic. I decided line 1 was impossible, line 3 still distant. To spend New Year's with Julian, I'd asked Monica to clear a whole week. Now I would use that week to walk Switzerland's snow for myself. High above the world, staring down at the city shrinking to a glittering speck, my thoughts drifted far, far back. When did I stop feeling loved? Was it the night someone rear-ended his car and, shaking, I called to say I was okay, desperate to hear, "Are you hurt?" That's all that matters. Instead he asked, "How's my car?" Or when the tech wunderkind began decorating gossip blogs with PR scandals, always beside Bella, never denied, never confirmed. Each time I confronted him I got the same flat reply: "Her boss is a friend, we're just drumming up buzz." Yet Bella's fingerprints multiplied across his life, her throw pillow on his office sofa, the knitted keychain of a persimmon that suddenly appeared on his key ring when I asked where it came from. He shrugged, bought it on a whim. Only later did I discover the set came in pairs, persimmon and peanut, his and hers charms. The peanut dangled from her own keys that very day, captioned on her alt account: "He's got his, I've got mine, together we're one sweet future." She'd knitted them herself, love tokens. And there he was, dangling that persimmon without a care. When I lost it he said, "All keychains look the same, you're paranoid." After that, the internet buzzed louder. Because I kept our relationship quiet, the world knew me only as an A-list actress, not as Julian's real girlfriend. And for Bella's sake he would never correct them. He told me I looked hysterical when I raged, but he never gave me a reason to feel safe. Looking back, I feel only foolish, how long I sank in that quicksand, wasting precious years. Fury made my head spin, I leaned against the seat and drifted off, sleeping more deeply than I had in months. 14 hours later I woke to crisp foreign night air, feeling almost reborn. The good mood evaporated the moment I stepped off the plane. I'd grossly underestimated the cold. Stranded at the airport, teeth chattering, I realized my confidence "some English will carry me anywhere" was useless. Here most people spoke German or French. I cursed myself for skipping a travel guide or hiring a local fixer. Thank heaven for big brothers, I rang Spencer, stammering the mess I was in. He sighed, "You're impossible. The Shaw kid is rabbit hunting in eastern France, practically next door. I'll send him to scoop you up." The idea of facing Chase made me panic. You really don't have to bother him, because awkward didn't cover it. 2 years younger than me, fearless and impossible, he had once declared open season on winning my heart. The showdown had even sparked a shouting match with Julian, but Chase's tongue was sharper, and Julian lost on every score: money, pedigree, wit. So Julian laid down rules: no private meetings with Chase. I obeyed, dodging him so diligently that eventually the boy who once texted greetings and gifts on every holiday fell silent. Still, Spencer overruled me. "Quit posturing. Be grateful anyone is willing to fetch you." He was right. Apart from Chase, I had no way of conjuring a Chinese-speaking translator guide at a Swiss airport at midnight. The terminal, barely heated, already had me shivering. Outside would be lethal. So I hovered inside, clutching hot coffee, waiting. 2 cups, a bowl of pasta, and half a hot dog later, Chase strode in, a brand new Canada Goose parka and snow boots swinging from his fingers. I greeted him sheepishly. "Hey, little Shaw, thanks." The nickname earned me an exasperated look. We can't be that far gone. You do remember my actual name, right, sis? Considering the parka and boots, I obliged. Chase, thank you. About before, I wanted to apologize for the years of polite distance, but he didn't let me finish. He ruffled my hair, dimples flashing. Already forgiven, sis. Just like that, the boulder rolled off my chest. Maybe this wouldn't be so awkward after all. Once I zipped the down jacket, warmth flooded back and my stride steadied. Outside, a car waited at the curb. He bundled me into the heated leather seat and slid in beside me. Bewildered, I asked, "Where are we going at this hour?" Chase pointed into the black ahead, lips curving. "To watch sunrise hit the Matterhorn, then I'll ski with you." I suddenly remembered the oil painting he'd sent me 3 years ago, a triangular peak gilded by dawn. A quick search on my phone confirmed it, Matterhorn at sunrise. When he heard I'd always wanted Switzerland but never made it, he had painted the scene himself so I wouldn't miss it. During my fresh start purge, the picture slipped my mind. I left it behind at Julian's penthouse. Now it felt priceless. He'd put thought into it, I had to get it back. While the car was stopped so I could use the restroom, I slipped outside and quietly called my brother back in New York. "Spence, I need you to do something for me." He had just stepped out of a board meeting, but he resigned himself with a nod. "All right, what now? Want me to punch Julian, or dig up more proof he cheats?" "Nothing that dramatic," I whispered. "Have your assistant swing by Julian's penthouse and pick up a painting for me, the one of sunlight hitting a snow-covered mountain. Just stash it at your place." My brother caught on immediately and lifted a brow. "So you've finally noticed the way Chase looks at you? Congratulations in advance. I'll send someone for the painting. And don't worry about the trending tabloid stories at home, I'll scrub them." What did he mean, congratulations in advance? And what tabloid stories? Typical Spencer, read receipts on, comprehension off. I pressed him for details, and he mumbled, "The night you and Julian left his place minutes apart, Paps got shots. Bella's fans are calling you the other woman, and it's blowing up online. I know you hate people poking into your life, so I'll kill the buzz. No way that happened without Bella pulling the strings." The second I walked away from Julian, she shoved me under the bus. I'd always figured a cheater is a cheater, so the blame lands on Julian, not her, but if she wants war, I won't wave a white flag. Tears and tantrums don't win breakups. When he finished, I said, "Handle the painting for me, but leave the trending stories alone. I'll deal with them myself." Spencer knows I make my own calls, so he agreed. I hung up, powered on my second phone, and watched it explode with missed calls and WhatsApp messages from friends. A quick search pulled up the clip, me wheeling a suitcase out of Julian's building, eyes red, jumping into a cab. Moments later, Julian limps after me, clearly about to give up, until a call reroutes him to another taxi going the opposite direction. The comments underneath were vicious. So Serena was basically living with Julian? What does that make Bella? Yaya's no homewrecker. That older so Serena threw herself at him, got kicked out, and Julian only chased her to keep her from doing something crazy. Exactly, he never followed through. He went to see our Yaya instead. Julian's true love is our girl. Homewrecker Serena, get out of Hollywood. The more I read, the madder I got. Why should I be the one exiled for keeping a low profile? Back in the car, I called Monica. She exhaled in relief. "You've finally turned your phone on. You've seen the mess?" I nodded, and she briefed me. Net-wide slut-shaming. They want a public apology, and the studio gave you 72 hours to clear it up. Julian called, begging you to spare Bella. He swears she'll apologize in private and keeps asking where you are. Do we drop the receipts proving he cheated with Bella, or do you stay quiet and let Spencer nuke the trending tag? If we'd still been together, I might have protected Julian's reputation and let Spencer bury it. But we're done. Why should I keep swallowing insults? I thought for a second. Sue every troll who called me a mistress. Release the proof, time-stamped photos, videos, everything. Show the world I dated Julian for 8 years and dumped him yesterday. Monica sucked in a breath. She'd hated Julian for ages, but open war would torch any chance of reconciliation. You sure? Once we fire, there's no truce. I'm positive. And keep my location locked down. Julian doesn't get to find me. The moment she agreed, the studio lawyers filed suits, then dropped a folder of 8 years' worth of couple pics and clips onto Instagram. Whatever tsunami followed was not my problem. Work phone off, world muted. Before our grenade went live, Julian rang Spencer, thinking my brother might finally leak my whereabouts. He answered, heart lighter for a second. Spencer, any word from Serena? Where is she? I can explain, I want her back in the penthouse tonight. My brother snorted. You don't deserve her coordinates. I'm calling about a canvas she left behind, the Snow Mountain thing. My courier or yours? The slap landed, Julian's chest tightened, but he couldn't roar at the one man whose Rolodex still mattered. He inhaled, steadied himself, and said, tell her to come get it when she comes home, or I'll toss it. Spencer wasn't about to hand Julian another opening. Trash that painting and we'll see each other in court after I tally every dollar my sister poured into your startup. You really want headlines calling you a gigolo who slept his way to $1 billion? Julian knew better than to duel with old money. However bright his star, my brother could still snuff it. He caved. Fine, my people will deliver it tomorrow. Yet curiosity gnawed at him. What's so special about that thing? It's just a doodle chase knocked off, right? Mission accomplished, Spencer smirked. Might be my little sister and future brother-in-law's love token. He hung up before Julian's brain could buffer, leaving him slack-jawed and seething. Spencer strolled off whistling, Julian sat frozen, that phrase looping in his skull, love token. The Van Cess were pushing Serena toward Chase? Impossible, she loved him, Julian. This breakup was just a tantrum, she'd crawl back once she cooled off. Matterhorn at dawn is stupidly beautiful. When the light spills across the peak, it erases every worry in the world. I was soaking it in when Chase, oblivious to the view, stared at me instead. He studied my profile like it was art, then asked softly, Serena, how about a dynastic marriage? The full package, license, babies, the works. I blinked. Marry Chase? He's 2 years younger, and, crunch the bloodlines, his dynasty sits a full tier above mine. My family is merely rich, his prince the rules for half of Wall Street. Can a 23-year-old heir even pick his own bride? He's confessed crushes before, but teenage affection is currency I don't trade. I'd laughed it off, especially while Julian was still in the picture. Yet dynastic marriage isn't a fling, it's 2 empires shaking hands. Honestly, post-Julian, I'll be auctioned off to some pedigree name anyway, and in the current catalog Chase tops the list, gorgeous, young, and genuinely smitten. But I didn't say yes right away, because I still remembered what 17-year-old Julian looked like when he loved me. Back then, his love had been so fierce, but later the fire cooled, passion died, and love died with it. I was afraid Chase would become the next Julian, but my life couldn't afford another lost 8 years. So I answered, I'm not ready to jump into a new relationship yet. A gentle refusal, and Chase didn't push. He only said time would tell. I thought that day of proof would come years later, or that time would eventually show me he was no different from Julian. I never expected it to arrive so soon. When we went skiing, we were caught in an avalanche. The biggest of the year. In seconds, dazzling white buried everything in the world. The impact knocked me out cold. When I came to, I was entombed in snow, shaking so hard I could barely breathe. I tried to scream, but exhaustion stole my voice. My phone was lost somewhere beneath the drifts. I groped around and felt nothing. Cries and sobs echoed everywhere. I was certain I would die before rescue came. In that instant I thought of so many people, Dad, Mom, my brother, and Chase, whom I dragged into this, yet Julian never crossed my mind. When life itself hangs in the balance, everything unclaimed or already lost dissolves. Serena! Chase dug me out with his bare hands. I was frozen stiff, only my eyes could move. Ignoring the brutal cold, he stripped off my soaked ski suit and dressed me in his own, while he trembled violently. If the rescue team had arrived even minutes later, he would have been the first to die. At the hospital, when I finally warmed up, he was still chalk blue. Doctors slapped him with a critical care notice. I frantically called his parents, then clutched his hand, shaking with fear. Guilt devoured me. If I hadn't insisted on skiing, he'd still be in France chasing rabbits, far from any avalanche and from risking hypothermia to save me. Watching the oxygen tube in his nose, his heartbeat slowing on the monitor, I choked out, "If you pull through, I'll marry you." That day was the longest of my life, watching him hover at death's edge, then inch back, until finally his fingers curled around mine. Only then did the boulder in my chest roll away. He had made it. The first thing he did when he woke wasn't call home, it was tighten his grip on my hand. No take-backs, big sister. I wanted to retract the promise, but words are words, and he'd nearly died for me. I gave a tiny nod, my cheeks on fire under his smiling stare. Back in Manhattan, it was still broad noon. The evidence I'd released had crucified Julian as a serial cheater. Headlines shredded the sterling CEO myth he'd built. The resources he'd once siphoned from my father through me dried up overnight. Bella, all hype and no talent, had been hoisted entirely by her label's cash and Julian's PR. Most of her fans shipped her with Julian. Netizens demanded she quit, brands scrambled to tear up her contracts. She begged Julian to persuade me to call the scandal a misunderstanding and save her. Only then did Julian realize that if I refused, he couldn't reach me at all. My brother, once politely neutral, now blocked every deal he touched. Julian was unraveling, and today a suffocating dread clawed at him. Something catastrophic was coming, he just didn't know what. The longer the day dragged, the heavier the feeling, until he couldn't sit still. Suddenly he needed me. Secretary Lee, find Serena's exact location, skip the Swiss clichés, I want GPS coordinates. Lee speed-dialed every contact, and within minutes confirmed the resort. Before he could report, avalanche reports exploded across the web. Sterling, Vance was on that mountain, she may be in danger. Shall I book the next flight? The fountain pen slipped from Julian's grip, smashing on the marble, ink bleeding like a Rorschach of regret. When he lifted his face, his eyes were bloodshot. Impossible. She's fine. Book the earliest jet. He bolted up, sleeve catching the potted pot hose I'd given him years ago to soften his sterile office. The plant crashed, roots snapping, soil scattering, a small, stupid casualty. At Teterboro, waiting for his jet, Julian tasted true panic for the first time. Images of me at 17 flooded back, my laughing promise to marry him, my blind faith, memories he'd shelved until they rammed into his chest like climbing vines, squeezing the air out. He finally understood. He hadn't stopped loving me, he'd just grown used to me. He'd assumed 8 years meant forever, that no matter how he trampled my feelings, I'd always come back. So even after the breakup, he hadn't flown to beg, he'd only asked my agent where I was, certain I'd come to my senses. He'd secretly bought a diamond, planning to propose the instant I returned. Then the avalanche shattered his complacency. "Sterling, you can't go to her." At the gate, Bella grabbed his arm, mascara streaking. "Don't leave me with nothing. Let go." "No. You promised me New Year's Eve, you gave me this watch, you care. If you walk onto that plane, I lose everything." She flashed the custom diamond dial. "Let go." She flung both arms around him, determined to make him miss the flight. She'd already lost the world, she couldn't lose him too. "I never loved you," Julian snarled, prying her off. I loved 17-year-old Serena, bright, loud, nothing like the quiet woman she became. I was addicted to that memory. I always have, and always will, love Serena. Now I'm going to find her. Only at this moment did he finally understand what he truly wanted, me. The real me, standing right in front of him. Whether it was the 17-year-old me or the 25-year-old me, he loved them both. The energy of 17 or the quiet of 25, both were perfect, he swore, and he would never again call me dull. Julian tore himself away from Bella at the last second and caught the final flight to the Swiss, but he arrived too late. Chase and I had already left. We were headed to Chase's family estate in eastern France. He said he would take me rabbit hunting, show me the castle he'd bought, and, if we had time, squeeze in our engagement shoot. The guy was in a rush, ideally we'd have the wedding photos done before my vacation ended. Because Chase had been critically ill, I'd called his parents. When they rushed over and saw him out of danger, and me sitting beside him, they exhaled in relief, then immediately turned conspiratorial. "So, you two are together?" I screwed up my courage and nodded, sweetly greeting them Mr. and Shaw, hello. Inside I was thinking, if they mind that I used to date Julian and try to break us up, I can live with it. Chase and I have only just started. To my shock, they were wonderfully easygoing. Shaw slid a vivid green jade bracelet from her wrist and slipped it onto mine. A little welcome gift. I didn't have time to prepare anything grand, please don't think it paltry. Shaw beamed. Our Chase finally got his wish. Once you two settle on a date, I'll head straight to Old Vance with the betrothal gifts. He then instructed the housekeeper to fetch a ruby parure from upstairs as a second present. It was all so unexpected, so ridiculously smooth. We hadn't even talked that long. How had we already stumbled into the meet the parents phase? Because of urgent business back home, Mr. and Shaw flew in and out the same day, perfectly reassured. For the next several days Chase and I stayed in his castle. We slept in separate rooms, but met for every meal. Occasionally he took me rabbit shooting or on drives through the countryside, little by little getting used to each other. In the end, time was too tight, the engagement shoot Chase had dreamed of never happened, and we flew back to the States together. Spencer met us at the airport. Noting my glowing complexion, he grinned. Fresh romance really does wonders. Chase wheeled my luggage, instantly addressing him as Big Brother and vowing to treat me well. My brother approved wholeheartedly, in fact, my entire family adored Chase. He's one of us, they said. We know his people, he can't be all that bad. Serena! One morning on set, I was suddenly tackled by a familiar pair of arms, Julian. Let go. No thrill, only alarm. I yanked free and ducked behind my assistant. I went to the Matterhorn, but no one could find you. They said you'd left with your boyfriend. You couldn't have found someone new so fast, they were lying, right? To win me back, he dressed deliberately in the same varsity jersey he wore at 17, looking younger, though the effort showed he hadn't been 17 in years. I do have a new boyfriend. Afraid he wouldn't believe me, I pulled up photos of Chase and me on my phone, plus a snapshot of our save the date. The wedding is set for mid-April next year. Both families picked the date, claiming spring blossoms and warmer weather for a wedding gown. Barring surprises, we'll file the marriage license next month. Everything is officially in motion. Impossible. You love me. He looked shattered. I stopped loving you the moment you cheated. I stared straight at him. I knew I could never love someone so selfish, so fickle, this 25-year-old Julian. It isn't what you think, we didn't, he tried to explain, but I no longer needed to hear it. I'm not interested in you and Bella. I walked away without the slightest hesitation. 1 second of wavering would have been a betrayal of Chase. Better we stay worlds apart, never to meet again. The next day, same location, Bella was waiting. She dropped to her knees the instant she saw me, a masterclass in emotional blackmail. Vance, please, give me a way out. Convince Julian to see me, I can't reach him anymore. When you were sneakily posting couple shots online, you weren't begging then, I sneered and walked off. One more glance was nauseating. With the wedding nearing, I received a call. Serena, where are you? I can't find you. The voice carried a thread of grievance, of bewilderment, of fear. He didn't sound like 25-year-old Julian, he sounded like the boy I knew at 17. Half an hour later his family rang again. Julian was in a crash. His memory is locked at 17, the year he loved you most. Could you come to the hospital? At that exact moment I was fitting my wedding gown. Beside me, Chase instinctively tightened his fingers around mine. You're not going, are you, sweetheart? I knew what he feared. I squeezed back and shook my head. No. Maybe 17-year-old Julian loved me deeply, but I'm no longer 17-year-old Serena. 25-year-old Serena has the partner she wants for life, and that person is Chase, the man who dug me out of an avalanche, not Julian. So whether the present Julian remembers, whether he stays 17 forever, whether he one day recovers, none of it matters to me. People look forward, keep walking, race toward a new life, and never glance back. I later heard the amnesiac Julian searched frantically for me and vowed to crash our wedding. Chase didn't give him the chance. On our big day, Julian didn't even get near the hotel before the Shaw security team intercepted him. They say the reason he lost his memory is simple: he paid for an experimental drug meant to reset his mind to 17, believing that version of him could win me back. 2 months later the drug wore off. Finding me already married, he finally gave up, and suddenly recalled his tottering company. By the time he tried to salvage it, the moment had passed. Within days the firm declared bankruptcy. He attempted several comebacks but had no capital, no connections, and the timing was wrong. Every effort only sank him deeper in debt. Sometime later someone snapped a photo of him on New Year's Eve, hunched over cheap liquor at a sidewalk stall. That same New Year's Eve I rested a hand on my gently rounded belly, discussing baby names with Chase. For the rest of my life I'll ring in every new year with Chase and our child. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable tales. See you next time.